Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want and watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand in any direction. Tools built for one, platforms ready for many.
This is Asia Trade. I'm Shiriani in Tokyo. The top stories this hour. Asia stocks facing pressure as a sell-off in U.S. tech megacaps tempers optimism from positive economic data. Apple sinks after raising prices of Macs, iPads, and other devices. Oil inflation as an attack on the ship in the Strait of Hormuz stokes fresh doubts over how quickly energy flows can normalize. And coming up on Bloomberg Tech Asia, we take a look at the impact of the global AI fundraising spree and which companies in Asia stand to benefit from the boom. And I'm Heidi Stradwell in Sydney. Take a look at the setup for trading across Asia. What a pandemic week it has been, right? Of course, we are still trying to find our way through the inflation picture, particularly as Sherry mentioned, with these uncertainties over what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz, a ship being hit by an unknown projectile in the Strait, sustaining some damage there, but really causing some jitters in what has really been a pretty well-priced situation for the end of the conflict. But take a look at this choppy session that we're expecting, particularly as we also look to that volatility within that AI tech trade. Nikkei futures looking pretty flat at the moment. Kospi futures, we have seen quite a wild ride this week with a bit more of that risk management story going into the Friday. US futures are not doing very much at the moment, and that dollar yen story is still in that high 161 level. Switching out the boards to take a look at, of course, the commodity story, which we have really been watching as we have hours as that freight has been turned around in the Strait of Hormuz as well, while attempting to make that crossing. These developments all adding up to a greater level of uncertainty. You see that being reflected in the oil price a little bit as well. Yield crude, though, still up at a substantial 1%. As we see these prices more or less erasing the gains that we've seen through the period of the last few months of this war. But that volatility is what we're watching out for in this Friday session. Gripping Wall Street overnight, a sell-off tech megacaps, dampening optimism from signs that the US economy is in good shape. Let's bring our markets reporter Anthony Stevens and the Vogue opinion columnist John Authers also joins us now. So Anthony, there's been so many cross currents in terms of how to interpret the broader macroeconomy, how to interpret the AI trade as well. Where are we at as we head into the end of the week?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? We all went home very happy about the micro numbers. Korea was very strong, Japan was very strong, but that AI boom in the chip space had a sting in the tail when it came to the US. So you saw Apple raise prices and the stock price immediately got punished as consumers are seemingly unwilling to take this incremental price inflation in consumer electronics. In the US, overnight PCE number consumption was very weak, and US consumer confidence has been trending downwards for years now, as they contend with this cost of living crisis. So the space for the US consumer and other consumers to take these increases in prices from the AI chip boom is really called into question. Now in Japan in particular, this trend has been playing out for quite some time. Nintendo and Sony have been lagging the Nikkei's rise for quite a while, and Apple faces the prospect of following these competitors lower. PPI, the sub-index for semiconductor and electronic prices, has been much higher. So the input cost for all these consumer goods is quite high. Coming into Asian session, that sets up the Nikkei for some downside. It sets up Korea for a little bit moderation of the booms of yesterday. And we continue to see this huge divergence between the people that are paying for AI chips and the people that are making it. And that is going to be quite important in the Chinese session today.
And John, of course, the market reacted to the latest PCE numbers, but I was a little bit confused because we had just assets moving all over the place with the dollar even softer. So was the inflation number or not?
I think it's fine. I don't think there was much way to argue otherwise. But you could say, I think there are two things. First of all, Kevin Walsh's third measure happens to be at the moment by far the measure that looks most lenient on inflation, which is the trimmed mean PCE, where you exclude the outliers in both directions and take an average of the rest. And then I don't have the screen in front of me, but I think that's still only about 2.4, 2.5%. It's certainly paints a much more positive picture of inflation than anything else for whatever statistically quirky reasons. And the other point, despite the very angst-inducing news from Straits of Hormuz, is that people have really got the business with their team that the energy shock is over, completely over, and that means inflation break-evens, inflation expectations can come down. 1 year inflation swaps for the US are lower now than they were the lowest they've been in the entire of Trump 2.0. Which surprises me a lot.
Thank you,
There
man.
we are.
You are the secret to my success. What's your name? What is it? Celeste. You are the secret to my success. Thank you so much.
This almost feels illegal to know for yourself. What I've discovered could save you from a massive mistake that's crushing your body while you sleep. If you're sleeping in a position like this, you gotta hear this. You've been sleeping this way your whole life. You think nothing is wrong. But what if I told you that your pillow is putting constant pressure on your shoulder? Your shoulder carries your entire body weight for 8 hours straight. A regular flat pillow provides zero support. Your body collapses against the mattress. That is why your arm feels numb. Side sleeping is a common position, but it works against you if you're sleeping on a regular flat pillow. Standard pillow is just a bag of feathers. It has zero structure. And when you lay on your side, there's a gap that leaves your neck unsupported. It doesn't hurt yet, so you don't notice it. But that tiny tilt is enough to partially pinch your airway shut. You don't wake up gasping, but your heart and lungs have to work too.
I just don't know if the energy through some of the uncertainty over the next, 55 days of these war talks is one element, but are we still seeing that certainty that Kevin Walsh is a walk? Do you think that's a correct kind of way to view things?
I believe part of you see a very big shift in expectations on inflation and also in the way the debates are portrayed. The gold price, for example, really came off after Kevin Walsh made his first press conference here at OMC last week. he chose to come over as a fairly unapologetic hawk, and that a lot is now being laden on the idea that is what we had. That we had a few months of people getting used to the idea that we were going to have an irresponsible Fed that allowed inflation to take off. Now I suspect we have actually reached a point where we have over-adjusted. I mean, you made the point about Apple and so on, that the kind of demand for chips at the moment is forcing them to raise prices. You would expect, if the market works as it should, that before too much longer, demand for chips is going to decline because of that. And you will see a broader correction to price levels. But as it stands, there is still plainly a belief that Porsche is a hawk that does for the inflation graph, that does for the inflation story.
Anthony, of course, we had the really chip narrative and the overheating narrative also play out in many Asian economies, and perhaps that concern around inflation. We do have CPI numbers here in Japan, in the capital Tokyo. What are you watching out for in today's trading session across Asia, especially when you have a little bit of a softer dollar?
Yeah, you have this balance between the winners from the AI boom and the losers, right? And that was really big part of the US session, and that's something to watch coming into Asia. You continue to see this pressure on hyperscalers and people that need to spend on AI. We continue to see expansion though from the hyperscalers. So there's a torrent of cash leaving people that are producing AI for these chip makers, and how sustainable that is really the debate coming into Asia today. We see OpenAI, could potentially put off their IPO. We see DeepSeek expanding their capacity to produce new AI. So there's a lot of kind of moving parts in the session with regards to that trade. Now, in terms of semiconductors, the read-through is relatively much simpler. Micron and SanDisk had a very strong day, and that will produce like some kind of reasonable undercurrent of bullishness on the semiconductor side of things. But heading into the weekend, a lot is in the price of the semiconductor trade, so some risk management might be prudent there. In China, the situation bears watching as the Chinese tech sector continues to break down on the big internet space versus the semiconductor space. So that spread is very interesting to watch. In terms of inflation, look, chip prices are still not a material part of the consumption basket, but as John argues, it might be the tip of the spear as far as the inflationary pressures from the AI boom into broader macro, and that really does warrant watching as the AI trade starts to eat into macro.
Yeah, John, actually, let's talk a little bit about oil as well and how that's going to be felt in those inflation numbers, especially given that we're headed into the weekend, and every time we're around Friday, I do start to wonder what's going to happen on Saturday and Sunday around the Iran negotiations.
Right. I think there is a broad, I'm not saying this is right, but I'm saying that this is the assumption the market is working on. There is a very clear assumption that Donald Trump is not going to put boots on the ground, that he plainly doesn't want to go back to war. And if he doesn't want to go back to war, nobody can force him. And that means that in terms of the risk of the sudden stop to oil prices or oil supply, the idea is that this is over basically because Donald Trump has lost. That's the market view. There is some defense for it, and that is the driving notion that a degree of confusion around what's going on in the streets can be dealt with. The tail scenario of all-out war and blockades going on for months seems to be decisively off, and all of these skirmishes don't really seem to be affecting that. So for the time being, the market judgment is we can just work on the assumption that the strait is open. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that assumption, but that seems to be the assumption that's working.
John, are you comfortable then? Obviously markets are looking for every reason to turn their attention back on the AI and chip trade, right? The tech trade. What's your comfort level then when it comes to this rebound start to see that spillover when it comes to it becoming more of a macro trade with inflation pressures?
It's like many great trades of the past. There comes a point when they are limited by the capacity of the whole of the rest of the economy to indulge them. I think it is fascinating that Micron showed that whatever the future might hold, there is still massive demand for these things. Their stock goes up 15-16%, but it doesn't prompt an overall rally in the rest of the market. It just continues the trade that has been working beautifully, which is actually to short the Magnificent Seven, i.e. the buyer of chips, buy the stocks, the makers of chips. But I personally think the degree of volatility we're seeing, the things that we've witnessed in South Korea in the last week, has all the hallmarks of the top of the top that is fast approaching if it isn't already there, and that we're going to see some kind of fairly significant correction before too much longer. I have no clue exactly when it's going to be. I thought it might well have been yesterday, and then we got the Micron results. After the Micron results, I thought we had a few more weeks, and it looks as though it's been wrong as well. Just looking at the degree of event, the degree of
Top
volatility
of
in
the
the
morning,
market, something
Mr. Johnson, in a different part of the world. We apologize. I understand it's a little bit later overseas. Peace and blessings be with you. I just got your message from the, not the primary Instagram, but from the artist one. And I just want to go over a few basic things. First of all, absolutely, yeah, this last album, very emotional, very personal. I'm very happy with it. I think it came out excellent. You know, I always, every album is like the first one, you know. So definitely, I'm gonna have to have a meeting with Mr. Chris Solo. Shout out to all my family and friends, our business partners, our colleagues, all industries, trades, products, and services, everybody that is part of Team Venom R1. Love you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys are my daily motivation and inspiration. I look forward to continuing to work with you guys. You guys are definitely a blessing in my life. As you know, for me, it's the sabbatical. So great to be with God and, you know, be with family and of course with people. But let me continue. So yeah, Mr. Johnson, check this out. Basically, I'm gonna have to have a meeting with Mr. K. Solo because, again, that's one of our nuclear missiles in the arsenal that we have not explored yet. So I'm currently awaiting surgery, which is the only constraint, the only bottleneck in our operations. On Monday, I'm going to be sitting with my lawyers, and we will be continuing strategizing for the actual tour. I am considering a concert in New York City, maybe right after surgery, not for certain, but it will be for charity. It's going to be for the veterans, for all armed services. It's going to be for city and state union council workers. Everybody that works for the city will be invited. Everybody in the education board. So we'll be giving away the Steve Benedict Award if everything goes as planned. And that's what I'm looking forward to. We're going to go through our business partnerships with both Gigster and Peerspace. We're going to let them bid for sponsorship and endorsement of the event. And everything else we're going to do ourselves. So as far as logistics, I may fly there, secure the tour bus, get the equipment, bring everything on the tour bus, put the performance together, and then still do a few free events for churches and charities and inner city youth programs and things like that. And we'll use all of that as marketing, we'll create content around it. And of course, if I'm in New York at that time, I'm going to entertain investment firms there So if I'm there for 3 or 4 days, maybe we can have 2 meetings and kind of build from there. What I wanted to tell you before I flew out, which I'm already back, was the structure that basically SpaceX and I think is, let me see what's the name of the company. I think it's Reflection. But let me just confirm it because I was going to send everybody at corporate, I was going to send them the actual article so you guys could look into it. But let me give you a better detailed example of some of the concepts that we were exploring before I had to fly out. So 1 second. This is going to be in Tech News.
Yeah, we saw Secretary of State Marco Rubio give very
The
strong
important
say
thing
the
about it
administration
is the
absolutely
fact
against any
that
rental or fees.
what's basically going to happen is that the structure for technology agreements
The White House is very
has
worried
completely
that
changed.
issuing any kind of toll or fees. I know that Iran is angling for that potentially, but
Let me
that could
see.
be a slippery slope with other nations wanting to do the same.
Blackstone is doing their
So I
thing.
know that the White House has been
$30
clear from the
billion
front that
is
any
invested
kind
in
of toll
Japan.
on an
That's
international
a number
waterway is not
of.
something that they find acceptable and would not be part of any kind of agreement between the U.S. and Iran.
Because the thing
Given
is,
kind of the shaky
that
grounds
day
that
I had
this
to
deal
fly
is
out.
on right now.
And then I was stuck over there
When it
for a
comes
few
to
days.
some of the overtures that we're
Just
seeing
got
from the
back,
president to the
but my
agricultural
timing is still
industry
off. Like I
in
still feel like
particular, how
I'm
impactful this
out
is
of time.
likely to be, given there's been a lot of criticism
Trying to see.
of perhaps this deal being seen as being more
Okay, here it
favoring
is. I'm going
the
to tell you the
Iranian side.
date. It is from the 22nd of this month.
Yeah, I think it's very
And
critical
basically,
that even the president
it is
is
reflection.
making a
So
point tonight to farmers
there is this huge deal that is signed between SpaceX
some of
and
the
Reflection
cultural
Incorporated.
wins the administration has had, as well
The
as
deal
trying to
in its
make that a
totality
priority,
is worth
especially ahead
6.3
of the
billion.
midterms. I think this is
These are some of the data points that we use
in terms
to
of meeting
evaluate our
support
catalog.
of a lot of not
So
only just
this places our catalog as of the 22nd, somewhere in that same neighborhood.
with them as well.
Now, I can't give specifics because, that's negotiation points and tactics, but it puts us in the same ballpark. Now, let me explain to you why and how this deal is structured. Basically, this agreement is for a span of an estimated 36 months. Okay? So this $6.3 billion valuation is based on dividing everything by 36 months. So what used to be a 10 to 15 year agreement, what used to be a 20 or 25-year agreement, has now become the 36-month agreement when it comes to technology. Remember that Reflection Incorporated AI is backed by NVIDIA. This is in order for them to diversify their portfolio, so they'll have this non-monopoly, non-competition clause. So NVIDIA couldn't do the deal directly because they would be in trouble with the SEC and the United States. So there are other companies such as AMD that are on the rise with what they're doing. Now, this is the marvelous thing about this deal and why this deal will be historic, why it's important to us, because this deal is structured in a way that for the first 90 days, both companies are joined at the hip. So for the first 90 days, there's really not much that they can do. Now, after 90 days, any moment after 90 days, and once again, I'm going to highlight, all investors focused on technology are going to use this deal and this structure as an example due to the fact of the sheer size of the company and the fact that they just had an initial public auction. They just sold out some bonds last week, totaling somewhere north of 25 billion. Now, after the first 90 days, either company has and can exercise the right to walk away. This is the sunset clause. So they're joined at the hip for 90 days. After that point, either company, either SpaceX which is Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, which we know as SpaceX, Elon Musk, or Reflection AI Incorporated, which is in a business partnership with NVIDIA. They can exercise the sunset clause after 90 days. So the first 90 days is the first 3 months, right? Let's give an example, January, February, March. If they wanted to activate the sunset clause, all they need to do is give a 90-day notice. So for example, if in a perfect world the deal didn't start now, which we're still in June, we're on the way to be close to July, right? If they take these next 3 months, right? So let's say the deal started on Monday, right? They have these first 3 months, so July, August, September, they're locked in on the deal, which is important for us because we're going to lock in a similar deal. Then, let me see, July, August, September, so October, November, December, if they wanted to execute the sunset clause, all they would have to do is give a 90-day notice. So worst case scenario, let's say it took a month to file the paperwork down the pipeline, right? By January, they can exit the deal. The reason why SpaceX and NVIDIA, because the newcomer in this sense would be Reflection AI Incorporated. The reason why they can put that into the contract is because it makes it better for the system. We weren't sure what they were going to do with the Federal Reserve, where they're going to hike the interest rates, where they're going to keep it the same. It takes the pressure off the financial banking system. It makes all the local and state banks look smaller by comparison because both technologies understand that the pace of technology is always moving forward. What does that mean? They don't have a reason to try to lock them into place because all this really and truly is, when you get down to the meat and potatoes of it, NVIDIA is diversifying many alternate variables. Number one, the SEC approval. Number two, the competition clause, no monopoly, they can't control over 58% of the market, which we know they own like 80% of the market or more. But they're diversified into different shell companies, holdings companies, and management companies to where the investments are so spread out that the United States government cannot just target one investment. So because they know that they don't care where the potential is, they don't care where the money's coming from. As long as the money's coming, they don't care. In the same way that these companies can go and, let's say, re-partner up, walk away from NVIDIA, and go partner with AMD, they don't care because long term they know that their competition can always be turned to work for them. So let's say Reflection AI is together with them for these 3 months. Then they wait a month filing the paperwork, right? I mean the pipeline paperwork for 1 month. Then they put the 90-day clause, so that puts them at 7 months. The shortest term that this 36-month agreement can be is 7 months. Let's say Reflection AI wants to go to work with AMD. They don't care because whoever's competing with AMD, not directly, because AMD is competing with NVIDIA indirectly, may offer that deal either to SpaceX or NVIDIA. So they don't have a reason to lock somebody in for a long-term contract because technology can be completely different in 3 months, in 4 months, or in 7 months. Now, by it releasing the pressure of being joined at the hip, it opens up all the opportunities. First of all, there's not going to be as much scrutiny because the contract has a clear sunset clause that both parties can execute. Number two, investment firms can choose to say, okay, we'll agree to this $6.3 billion of an investment, but we're only agreeing to it because we have the flexibility to execute the sunset clause, meaning other companies can come in, other products or services can come in, other industries of trade, other investors, small cap investors, big cap investors, private equity investors. Everybody's welcome to join the party because they all agree we need money to advance the technology, and whichever geese lays the golden eggs is going to be worth every other investment across the spectrum of technology. So where do we come in? Let's say there is an investment. Let's say they evaluate the company with everything on the table at the same valuation, $6.3 billion. This is the target right now for all investment firms, for everybody in technology that understands that SpaceX has the credentials to have an IPO. They sold off bonds for $25 billion. That's all the cash flow they're going to need while they secured this deal. So why is Elon Musk a billionaire and a trillionaire now? Because he continues to close these types of deals. So what we need to do is have the same approach. We need to break the story. We need to create our own bank to secure our own investments with future stocks and bonds into the company. Although we're investing in crypto technology, Web3 blockchain technology, we cannot sell an NFT or a digital currency as a stock, a share, and a bond. But essentially, it is due to the fact that we own the intellectual property. So what this is doing for not only our company, but for every technology company, is this has set the what's the word I'm looking for here? Like it has set the tone for every company in technology, such as ours. Our approach just happens to be wearable technology, autonomous technology, and entertainment. You know, we got a video game system coming out. That's our thing, right? So it puts everything into perspective because all these are delivery systems for the catalog. That's all it is. It's just diversifying the portfolio in different ways that are more technology based so that we don't have to worry. And we fall victim to the common consensus of investment firms that don't understand technology. And when you're trying to do something new, there's no previous formula for it. When Amazon started, Jeff Bezos had to tell the investors, listen, you guys are not going to get a dividend because we're building the infrastructure. Once you have the platform, then we'll pay off the dividend. It was a hard gamble, but the investors understood that from day one. We're raising venture capital only for the auction, for the digital collectible, for the digital collection. We can start previewing the collection once I move the catalog. I'm not going to move the catalog anytime soon. But again, that's another nuclear missile that we have at our disposal. So we need to be very strategic on how we do this. The actual agreement is somewhere north of $150 million per month. And this is the best approach that we can bring to any investment firm to say, listen, this is the full valuation of the company as of today. From the 22nd of June 2026, we're at $6.3 billion. Okay, we can have different metrics to divide what is going to be revised as the strategy to penetrate the market. Now, all these companies can come in because within 3 months, we can have the auction. Now, we can execute the sunset clause in the same way. After a month, 2 months, we can walk away from the investment because we can have a specific budgeted amount per month or per 3-month cycle for every project and event that we have. We understand that what we're doing is we're starting a chain reaction of events. It doesn't matter how we break the story. It doesn't matter how we break the marketing, the promotion, and the publicity for the auction. We know that once public media consensus knows about what we're doing, we're going to have all the avenues for free marketing, promotion, and publicity. Now, we're going to aggregate to that, of course, because we have our publicists to control the narrative. Building the brand is the most important part. So, people such as Promo the God are people that we can put in charge of managing the account that we have with VaynerX and Vayner Consulting and Tactical Data Consulting, just as an example. We can tie it in with the VFriend and tie it in with Whatnot and tie it in with Manek. All these technologies all work together. It doesn't mean that we can't host events for other corporations, which we are also going to implement. We're also going to do that. But the meat and potatoes of it is that when we present this in a pitch deck, in a proposal, in a business plan, we are going to use this as an example to build our pitch deck, which of course you guys know that I'm writing those programs as we speak, because we're going to have a vertical and a horizontal that deals with the AI, that deals with the website, that deals with a little chunk of the military web, that deals with the actual app. Because now I'm just going to start building the apps to function on both the military web and the regular web or World Wide Web, which is controlled. With the emphasis that our focus and our domain is always going to be on Web3 and above. So that is the investment that we're offering to investors. The fact that they can invest into this auction and we can give them a return of, we could probably do somewhere close to 2.9%. And that's it. It includes nothing else. But if successful, then we'll open the doors to all the other investors. And then they could be in it for the long haul. And not only do they have the choice to just invest in the auction or invest in the intellectual property, the execution of it, they're also going to be able to invest in that. Or they can use their earnings from whatever stage during the investment cycle and reinvest it into other things. So this is going to give them an opportunity to look at the investment for a short-term, mid-term, or long-term agreement. And remember, everybody's going to have the sunset clause, and we'll use the same terminology. 3 months, we're going at the hip. We'll see how we work together. We'll see if it's a good fit. Then we have a month to file the 90-day sunset clause, and then from there we decide. Realistically, what we want to do is close the deal before the fourth quarter. So no later than September, October in that area. So this run that we're going to have with the following tour has to start from the time that I get out of surgery until right around August, September timeframe. So that by September, October, we can know either A, where we stand, or B, what has been secured. Because there's a lot of money out there. The problem is we cannot entertain all the investors that want to come in. Because the more diversified the investors are, the more variables they're going to bring to make our system more complex. The harder it's going to be for us to deliver on goods. And we don't want to do that. We want to be forward-thinking today. We want to go and put the future glasses on, go to the future, see what the goal is, visualize the goal, and realize everything that we're going to need to get to that goal. So it's not necessarily only a line of credit or X amount of dollars. It's what can these investors bring to the table from their network, from their net worth, from their investments, and from their portfolio. These investments will not be for everybody. And accredited is not even close to what we're going to need. We need people that are completely invested into technology and are using us to diversify the investment the same way that NVIDIA is doing the exact same thing with both SpaceX and Reflection AI. Understanding that AMD is on their trail. Understanding that there's other agreements being signed to create all new chips, such as the jalapeno chip, which is Google. And remember, Blackstone, which is our home team, just invested, I think it was $300 billion for the for the AI centers in Japan. So Japan is also a huge market for us, and that's geared more towards what I am trying to secure. So this is our way of pressing the reset button to say, okay, hold up, the game just changed. What was the change of the
The
game?
latest from the
This
corporate
deal.
funds,
Who
OpenAI
are
is
the important
reportedly leaning
characters?
toward holding off on an initial
Nobody
loan
would
of
give
until
Elon Musk a
2027.
chance, so he had to create his own way, and that's where the value is for his portfolio. We need to follow in the same footsteps
The report says
because we've already done business with them on a military spectrum. Now we should be able to easier or easily build another bridge on the civilian side, which is the hardest because it requires credentials that all of us do not have. We need to be honest with ourselves about that. So if an investor comes in and has those credentials, it's more valuable to us than an investor that just has money and wants to write a check and collect a dividend. Because if that's the case, we could raise money and give money to companies like that, and for us to collect a dividend and then invest that money. But this is more complex because we're at the pinnacle, we're at the front of the technology shift. And this is what I was trying to convey that day, but because I had to fly out, there was a problem with logistics, there was no way for me to do it. So this is the ending of part one and the beginning of part two. Okay, chapter two. Give me 1 quick second. Let me take a quick break. Okay, let's see who's paying attention in class. Raise your hand, show me who has 5 pages of notes. Whoever has 5 pages of notes is getting a promotion in the company. So I got a yellow Lamborghini I'm trying to give away. Let's see who wins it today. Give me 1 second.
JP Morgan has named Troy Boardwalk and Don Petno
Not a new one, but it's still a good one. We got a few of them in our inventory. So let us continue. So basically, let's just go over everything we spoke about. What are the key factors? Who are the key players? Elon Musk with SpaceX, Jensen Huang with NVIDIA, also our business partners, because we are in partnership with Tesla and the autopilot system. And we have designs that can help their system, right? So directly, there are business partners. Indirectly, there are business partners. There's more potential in the spectrum where there are business partners that indirectly, because nothing's under contract, nothing solidified on the stone. It's just we can deliver a better system. And Reflection AI, which is a start, right? They're the new guys on the block, just like we are. We're the rookies, right? Excellent. $6.3 billion valuation over the span of around 36 months. It's scheduled to end July of 2029. The estimate is $150 million a month to start. 90-day notice following the first 3 months. So after 3 months, they can execute sunset clause every 90 days. So we can do the exact same. We as a company, as the new kids on the block, we're the rookies, right? We are the freshmen in this type of negotiations. We're talking billions of dollars, we're not talking millions of dollars, okay? Now, the name of the game is results. The name of the game is showing proof.
That's right.
If somebody wants to invest $150 million, we can triple that amount of money. The 3.9% return is what we're agreeing to. It's really 300%, right? That does not include intellectual property. The intellectual property is the first multiplier that takes us from $630 million, that's 640, 650 million euros, to $6.3 billion, or 6.4, 6.5 billion euros. Now, us understanding that today, we cannot allow investors to come in as loan sharks, to disrupt what we're doing, to interfere what we're doing, to control the narrative from a public, political, social political standpoint, or from a personal standpoint. I'm not going to have an investor call me every day talking about what's going on with my money, because once that money is deposited into my account, that is my investment money, and you are signing an agreement trusting me with that money. It's not for somebody to buy us as slaves. Like, we're not here to be a slave factory, right?
I mean, they're definitely
Now, Every investor wants what? Intellectual property, which is a no-go because it's the only leverage that we can negotiate moving forward. We gave the example with Reebok, and we gave the example with athletic footwear. We spoke about Jordan, we spoke about Allen Iverson, we spoke about Shaquille O'Neal, we spoke about Reebok, we spoke about Nike and the Air Jordan. So let's break that down again for the rest of the family. And thank you all for tuning in for today. So this contract is different in the fact that there's no need to force anything. They're not saying the new 15 years, the new 15-year cycle is 36 months, so you're married to us for 36 months. This is like signing a prenup, right? After 3 months, either company can exercise the sunset clause and walk away, cash out, and I'm out. Okay? They gave you a basic value of what it would be, what would be the investment budget per month, and this frees up everything in business, understanding that technology is going to continue to move forward. We're going to implement the same thing when it comes to investors, although we're only focusing on the auction. Why do we need to focus on the auction? Because there is no better marketing plan or marketing campaign for us than to let the world know, one, what we've done to break the story, social, political, as far as publicity and awareness, right? Every venue, every corporation has their sacred cows. So World Guinness has their business partnership. Just like Steve Stout and United Masters, which is our record label, which is giving us a 95-5 split, unheard of. That venue has a 90-10, I got a 95-5, and they offered me 100. Okay? They have business partnerships with the NBA and other major corporations, and bringing the catalog there as far as intellectual property opens the doors for us. When you're talking about Gary Vaynerchuk, VaynerX, VaynerMedia, Vayner Consulting, V-Friends, and whatnot, they are also bringing in all the partnerships because all the Fortune 500 companies from the Super Bowl on down, they all go through VaynerX, VaynerMedia. So it's the same people. We're all in the same jungle. We're all in the same island. We're all playing the same game. But in this land, there are nothing but dinosaurs and giants. We're used to walking amongst the giants. We're used to being the little voice on the shoulder, right, of the giant. But this is the land of the dinosaurs. This is a whole different world. So it's a whole different ballpark. And the name of the game is results. The name of the game is showing proof. We cannot impress these people with a basic investment or basic mentality. Yes, we want to do the auctions because we know the value of the public awareness of the catalog. We know the value of all the business partnerships that are going to come in. So Nike's coming to us, Adidas is coming to us, Under Armour is coming to us, Reebok is coming to us, and we're giving everybody flexibility because we know and we believe in technology. So, for example, Michael Jordan signed a 10-year deal out the gate. Stephon Marbury signed a 10-year deal with and One, just like Jordan did with Nike. This is unheard of. Iverson signed a lifetime deal. Shaquille O'Neal signed a lifetime deal. This is why today Shaquille O'Neal is the president of Reebok, because they're revamping the company after 2 years ago. And Iverson is the vice president. They're not the CEO, but the CEO today used to be the guy in the mailroom when Shaq started. This relationship has spanned over 3 decades. They're still doing business. Why? Because they can get into these rooms, they can shake hands, and they can hold on to the handshake. we don't want to just shake hands. We don't want to hold on to the handshake. We want to give them a bear hug. You know how Zangief does in Street Fighter? When you go to Russia, he just gives you the bear hug, and he says, we want to be like that. We want to be like Guile when he catches you in mid-air in Street Fighter 2, and he does the elbow slam with the knee. That's what we want to do with these countries because we see the long-term play. None of them are going to say that they're available. None of them are going to go to the public and admit that they have interest. But all of them will exercise and execute every opportunity to do business with them. And that's what we need to capitalize on. That's the magic, the lightning in the bottle that we need to capture. So why is this important? It's important because it only opens up the door. Let's give you an example. Let's say Nike decides to pick up my sneaker design and they give me my own line of sneakers. That's the publicity right there. That's the breaking of the story. Nike has all the marketing dollars to do everything that all we're doing is trying to secure money to do the same thing. Why would we spend the money on the publicity and the PR and creating the awareness when we know whether it's Christmas or Southern, whether it's Yankee Stadium, Dallas Stadium, the Raiders Stadium, or the Staples Center? Wherever the story breaks, it's going to be a chain reaction of events. Because on the blockchain, we don't need Guinness. But guess what's going to happen? Guinness is going to come to us. They're going to bring their business on. The same thing with us just working with VaynerMedia, VaynerX. They already work with everybody. They're going to make the phone call, and they're going to have one CEO call another CEO and just say, yo, how can we collaborate? So we don't need to waste time with anything else. This needs to be the focus. So for our investors, we're going to follow in the same suit. Listen, this is the evaluation. You come in at the floor price. You can have an agreement. We're going to do it in 4-month cycles because we're not up to par to be doing 3-month cycles. Let's do 4 months. You got 3 opportunities every fiscal year to exercise your sunset clause. You can be a part of the investment, or remember, wait, there's more, or you can have an option to lock in to not only the IPO, but the intellectual property. Now we all understand that we are Team BlackRock, and we will always be Team BlackRock. Forever we will be Team BlackRock, but we're also Team Blackstone. And we're not here to play the corporate political game. We know Blackstone bought Hypnosis. Hypnosis owns the top 40 radio catalogs, and they're interested, but they're the smaller company. We know that BlackRock is not going to stand by idle. We know that BlackRock has the money to create their own division, and we can be that premier catalog. Because our catalog, all it's going to do is it's going to magnetize other catalogs, join us in intellectual property. And that value, that leverage is held by us owning the catalog, including a percentage that I've set aside for clearing the samples, the releases, which that's a whole nother, extension. That's a whole nother tentacle of the octopus that we're doing. So it doesn't matter if one deal falls through or one investment falls through. We're going to have so many other verticals, horizontals, to sustain what we're trying to do. So of course, this sounds like sweet pastry to any investor that wants to say, yo, I got $100 million. That's not going to impress me. We're no longer in the land of the giants. Now we're walking amongst the shadows of the dinosaurs. If we pick up the film that the dinosaurs are leaving behind, we're going to be okay. Because we understand where this technology is going. And that's the focus right there. It's to be laser focused to understand where we stand today, where we're coming from, because we've been working on this for over 5-6 years. And a lifetime before that.
Wait, you don't write anything down
with the same emphasis that a record label can come and say, okay, we know what the value is going to be 35, 40 years from now. We have the same ability, and in fact, we have a better position because the catalog is so much bigger. So now, releasing the constraints of conventional banking and financing, implementing this new wave of investment, making it easy for the day-to-day investor, that is beyond the creditors. We need somebody that has credentials. We need somebody that can make phone calls for us. I don't want a business partner that's just laying in bed waiting for me to cut a check. I need active business partners. I need active investment. They're not going to control the money because I'll never let them control the money. But they do need to also include adding their resources to everything that we're doing. That is the most important thing because we're in this long term. Now, granted, if they execute the sunset clause, we all walk away and we try again. We'll use this to build our resume and our portfolio, and this investment can continue. It doesn't matter where the money is coming from, as long as we have access to those networks and those logistics and all the metadata that we're going to need moving forward, because we are going up against every other major tech company. What they don't have is the catalog that we have. What they don't have is the intellectual property that we control and manage. What they don't understand is the technology. Anybody can write a check. But how many people actually know what they're writing a check for? How many people do actually understand how the money is going to come in? From all verticals and all horizontals. The video game system could be worth more than everything in the portfolio. The metadata could be worth more than the actual catalog. The catalog could just be a centralized force that just opens the doors for us. So there's so many different opportunities. And remember, the real potential is not what we have on the contract. The real potential is the indirect business partnerships that we can all exploit. But the name of the game is results. The name of the game is showing proof. Understanding that the billionaires that started and were fundamental parts of building our project are no longer important. They're only as valuable to us as their network is. And most of their reach is limited. What we need is those networks, those accredited investors or investment firms that have those credentials that we do not have, that can make those phone calls that we cannot make. Because if we can make those phone calls, why the heck would we be done? We don't need their money. We could just bypass the system and we build credit and do it ourselves. The only difference is it would take us more time. That's it. That's the only difference. So again, we don't know what is the piece that is going to lay the golden nut. All we need to do is make sure that we're on the field and we're playing every single game. This is not basketball, football. This is baseball. We got 185 games. That has to be the focus. That has to be the mentality. Non-conventional financing, which frees up, it makes everything easier. And a similar structure to this, striking while the iron is hot. Because now this agreement went into place on the 22nd. So now our yearly cycle is going to be measured on every 22nd. We have no more than 22 months to secure something like this before something else happens. Why? Because there used to be 10, 15, 25 years. It went down to 10 years. That was the second cycle. Now it's down to 3 years, give and take. So the next cycle is going to be between 1 and 2 years. And if you notice, a lot of mega talents that are securing these deals, they're going for 1 year contracts. So we're in the beam, we're in the ballpark. We're not in the 1 year segment, even though we can execute a sunset clause every 4 months. We're not at the 36-month mark. We're right in the middle, 24 months. All realistic investments. The auction, launches the tour. What better way to market the tour? There is no better way to market the tour. We can go attempt a partnership with Live Nation, because if not, then we're declaring war publicly. Why? Because all we're going to do is go to Peerspace and Gigster and combine forces, which is what we've done already. We just haven't done it at the public forefront but we'll use that as marketing as well. So either they do business with us or they're gonna have to do business with us. There really is no choice. And again, based on the value of the catalog and all the long-term potential, it doesn't matter who breaks the story. It doesn't matter how they break the story. As long as we're on point and we can welcome that attention, because we do have to build a brand. We do have to do all the magical stuff that brings people back to this investment portfolio, not just the catalog. The catalog is the appetite. It's to get the conversation going. The wearable technology, the autonomous systems, the medical designs, the military designs don't apply to the civilian world, but they do apply to the military world. That's another vertical. That's even more money right there, but we'll discuss that at a different time. All of the wearable technologies. We give the example, again, long-term contracts. This is more breakthrough, not because of the value, but the structure. The structure says, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm willing to bet it all on me. My respect to Elon Musk. My respect to all the people at SpaceX. My respect to the people that put together the public offering and that secured this deal within and my respect to the team that initiated the bond sale for the $25 billion, whatever it is. All of this is just cash flow. That's it. It gives them a few years. And they can all walk away. So whatever money they exercise out of the contract, if they engage the sunset clause, Elon Musk just turns the money over and looks for the next investment. Does not stop with his business. And I'm sure a percentage of that is put away just in case that happens. Because
especially
that has
given
to
that
be
if you continue to have a shortage of memory and then you see the likes of Apple, Microsoft raising prices, wouldn't
let's
that
go a little
also
bit deeper.
really
With
pressure
Meta,
consumer
formerly known as
sentiment
Facebook,
going forward, where they will pull
Meta
back
being
on
a
these
short
purchases
acronym
and then you
for
have
the
a
metaverse,
cycle
right?
ongoing? How do you
Because
hedge
he's a geek
that
like that, so of
possibility,
course he wants to
especially
take
in very
money.
small markets, as Heidi alluded to, where only a
Has
handful of stocks
a
are rallying
break
right
off
now?
of Oculus. Oculus was created by people that engineered and designed for Apple during the Steve Jobs years before he passed away, and before Tim Cook revamped the company and done what he's doing. Shout out to them because they are inspiration. Here we go. Let me take a quick pause. I have a phone call. Ending of part 2, beginning of part 3. Hello. Yes. Okay, man. Let me finish my business meeting and I'll do another. I apologize for that. Beginning of part 3. So, again, Meta, Oculus stems from the engineers that help write the programs for FaceTime for Apple during the Steve Jobs years before Tim Cook turned the company around. Oculus turns off into home entertainment for video game systems mostly, augmented reality, virtual reality, and Meta understands that they need something else to have a delivery system for their technology. Of course, we're into wearable technology, so we know about all of this technology. We work on all these things now. And of course, this includes hardware, software for the people in our family members, our friends, our colleagues, our peers that don't understand it, don't fit in. So they have 2 systems on the market. Remember that each system has a civilian application and a military application. We are from the engineering military application side, although we can also do business on the civilian side. So there's a unit that's around 12 to 1400 in its civilian version. The military version is most likely double or triple that, about 3,600. Right? Remember these prices. The sports version is a little bit it's a little bit different because it's similar to the military design as far as durability and what it can do, but in execution, you theoretically need both systems combined to build the military system. So if that system is selling to $900, double or triple the price, you're looking at about $2,700. Now, they just introduced a test bed system in a partnership with Kylie Jenner, another family that we work with on digital marketing. Now, I want you to be flexible in how you think about this. I want you guys to be able to travel through time and shift perspective. Right? So, they introduced this design of a basic wearable technology, augmented reality, which is the Meta glasses, and of course, it's endorsed by Kylie Jenner. These designs will be in premium retail outlets, including its own unique portal for the digital division. But wait, there's more. They didn't just introduce that design. They also introduced 26 other designs, because it doesn't matter whatever the technology the glasses have, right? The aesthetics are much better in a design that is more affordable, where more people can have access to test the technology in the hopes that if they like the, let's call them the Kylie Jenner edition, a basic watered down version, test bed edition, the appetizers, right? They might go for the sports models, which are 3 times the price, or they might go for the mainframe design, which is 4 times the price. Now, I want you to think about this. From the military version to the price of the Kylie Jenner edition is 10% of the price. Instead of $3,600 to $4,000 for the military version, you're paying $300. Still a lot of money. But understand that there are fashion lines that have glasses that are like this. For several thousands of dollars, they have zero technology inside here. So they saw the need in the market for something that has the technology, but it's still fashion. It's still fashionably stable, right? Again, moving the technology towards the future. We have designs for wearable technology. We have our own glasses, of course. Our version is better than all 3 of their designs that combine to make the military design. We have a better version than the military spec design for civilian use, because we own Radar Flex, which is my technology, and it's part of my autonomy system. The competitions that we won with the Air Force, Space Force, Homeland Security, Department of Defense deal with autonomous technology. And as the lead and chief designer of the ASVU system, Autonomous Soldier Recovery Unit, Radar Flex makes autopilot look like baby. So now imagine watering that down and bringing that to our wearable technology. An album can go for $40, $50 for a collector's signed edition. A vinyl can go for $200 or $300. But we're talking about a video game system that could be $500, $600. We're talking about wearable technology where the glasses, all I need to do is beat them at their own game. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. If their top of the line system is $1,200, if I can build one for $800, we're in that thing. And I can guarantee you, our profit margins are going to be more than $2,000 per unit. This is technology. That's what we're in the catalog. Why is the IP important? Intellectual property, because I can put my music on a map. I own the technology to put my music on a piece of paper. I don't need to say anything else. We cannot go into this shit and try to get a record deal from the record label. We cannot go into this shit just, oh, we're going to do an auction. No, this is for everything. Either we hit the home run, grand slam, and win the World Series, the NFL, you know, and the NBA finals, or we don't need to try. This is the point that I'm trying to emphasize on. This is what the investment firms have to understand. It has to be made clear to them in a way that they can understand. So the same I'm explaining here, the baby food terms for the entire company, for the entire, all of our family friends,
coming into this
colleagues, business partners, everybody should understand what we're negotiating. And we have no reason to negotiate anything less. I can take that $1,200 system and make it an $800 system that's better. Because I can take that $1,200 system and make it a $5,000 system and sell it for $2,500 and compete directly with them and have a profit margin of $1,000 per unit. But I can also do that with the sports design and cut that down to $600, $500, and still have a $200-$300 profit margin. That's unheard of in retail fashion or technology. What happens with the basic design that I now have 27 different versions? If they're retailing for $300 with a profit margin of about $120, that means it's $180 on the shelf. That means that that product does not have more than $75 worth of technology inside of it. I can buy their system and build on top of it. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't have to go make a new mold and a new design. All I need to do is make it better. Whatever's there, make it better. You give me a Ferrari, I put turbo on it, I put a nitrous kit, I put this, that, and the third, I make it faster. That's all I'm doing. And I don't mind building a brand that does that. I can be a boutique retailer and just sell a few million versions of everything that we do. This is what we need to understand when speaking to these investors that want to come in at Loan Shark, thinking that we don't know that we are in the land of dinosaurs. They're going to want to bring us back to the land of the giants. Because most of them are not even giants themselves. They're just close to the giants. We're going to remain in the world of the dinosaurs because this is what we can show proof of what happened with radar flight and military designs and military competitions that we won 5.5 years in a row during the first Trump administration, and how technology has changed. You see a similar watered-down version of this technology. First, we saw it in the Asian market, which I couldn't do nothing about it because of military design. But now you see a watered-down version in almost every new class. Still, they don't know how to fully use the technology. So we can still build systems to improve the systems that are already in place. That's another investment right there. This is one of the many advantages, one of the many nuclear missiles that we have as a portfolio, as a project. And look what they're talking about, military drones in Taiwan. Just to give you an example, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, we just have to make it better. So again, this is why we need to be careful, because whenever a company invests with us, they're going to have access to the entire portfolio. So if you're willing to vouch for me and go to the ends of earth, I'm willing to vouch for you and go to the ends of the universe, because that's what sets us apart. We have a huge family that depends on us. There is no backup plan for us. We already have millions and millions of dollars, years and years of research, trial and error. We tried this, we tried that didn't work, that didn't happen. And I could just tell you recently, Allegiant Central, the Shakira concert, the Canelo fight. We lost that. That was 2024, 2025. That was not that long ago. Both Super Bowls, you're trying to capitalize. The big deal with the music was the Jay-Z shit right now coming up on the 10th. We're so far beyond that. And this deal is exactly what we need to bring to investors that wanted to be a part of this SpaceX investment and could not be. Because SpaceX advantage is that they explore space. Ours is our catalog. Reflection AI is doing business directly and indirectly with NVIDIA because they're the company industry standard. So guess who they're partnering with? They're partnering with NVIDIA. What is NVIDIA doing? They're building a bigger factory in the Dominican Republic. Who owns the most real estate and the most prestigious real estate? Who knows the real full terrain of the Dominican Republic? I do.
Volatility in tech stocks
Period.
may dampen enthusiasm.
Who can
for
build the technology to study the terrain in order to capitalize on even better real estate that they have no idea where it is. Just with me talking to my family, they can tell me, yo, check this land, check that land, invest in that land, that's the good land, this has the mineral resources, this does not. Again, we have investments that are direct and indirect. All we're trying to do is earn business. All we want to do is close these deals.
Yeah, it's interesting
What
because
we kill.
at one point,
Only the deals that we close can be capitalized. It doesn't matter if you're a minority. It doesn't matter if you don't come from a certain stone. It doesn't matter if we're Yankees or Lakers fans. Everybody wants to be a part of the winning team. And it doesn't matter who does business. Look, the sooner and the closer we get to closing a deal, the better it's going to be for any investment firm or any venture capital firm or any combination thereof. That's why we have to be careful how we break the story. That's why we can't just sit down anymore with every investment firm or every company. That's why we cannot entertain just any investment. That's why we need to be careful, even when we discuss these things. And remember, they can listen to our meeting and say, "Oh, we got the idea." I'll give you an example. There's somebody I was mentoring, and I put him onto some designing cues and things that they can use to build their company. I haven't heard from them since. Imagine if I would have put $1 million in your hand and said, go develop this stuff. I would have never heard from you. This is what happens in technology, because I guarantee you, in the next 2 months, technology is going to be completely different. And it's hard to focus on one thing if they keep moving the goalposts. If they keep saying, yo, it's going to be more complex because of this, it's going to be more complex because of that. We don't have time to try to reinvent the wheel and convince people. We don't have to force anybody to want to invest in it. This is simple. You want to get into Web3? You want to get into blockchain technology? We have an excellent catalog that can facilitate that. We're raising venture capital for the auction. The auction does not include intellectual property. This is not a stock investment. This is a high-risk, high-reward investment. What's the best thing we could do? We give you a 300% return. You give us $1 million, we'll give you 3. Not 4, not 5, not 2, not 1.5. You put up 20 million, we'll give you 6. You put up 100, we'll give you 300. Not a dime more, not a penny less. That's it. Take it or leave it. You're not ready, you're unsure, it's not an immediate yes, we're out of it. We have no time to waste. We're not going to waste time. We have 24 offers every single day. Out of those 24, I picked 2 or 3. And out of those 2 or 3, I might consider one. Why? Because there's more money with headaches than if there is money without the headaches. With the spiritual compass. Knowing that they're doing it the right way, knowing that they understand our future value today, and they're willing to emphasize the great people that we are. We have a great team, right? We have a great staff. There is no better team than us. We cherry-picked so many people over the last 5-6 years, including this young lady that was helping us with the event in, I think it was Irvine. Even though I ended up, on group surgery and stuff like that, this is a young lady that I'm going to be welcoming formally now into our team because she's going to receive us. Those are the people that I'm looking for every day. Every day I'm looking, okay, I only got a few $1 million. I can only pay $2 million a year. Would you accept? Because even if we can only pay you $2 million a year, you're going to be around the best people. And you're never going to hit on me when you start to grow. Look at BC right now. They're raising $7.4 billion. These are the deals that we need to be a part of, even if it's only a small part. We need to remain in the land of the dinosaurs. This is how the West was done. What we're doing is completely brand new. This is why we need to be careful with everything that we do. How we break the story, who we reach out to, what are the terms, what are we willing to be negotiable on. This is it. Now, I'm here to do this. investment firm comes in for the auction and things work out, the tour is an opportunity. All the merchandising is an opportunity. All the collateral, all the ventures that have verticals and horizontals, all that's available. Then everything else. Because the final frontier, we know today is going to be BlackRock Blackstone. We cannot just walk it into BlackRock Blackstone right now because we need to build more legacy. Because that's the land of the gods. That's another thing we need to take into consideration. Of course, everybody's going to want to come in and say, yo, I don't mind having this barbecue, but what about what's going on over there in the land of the Lord? Non-negotiable off the table. We have an amazing team. We have an amazing staff. The record for the auction is $225 million. That's for us to pay. Everything that comes from it is only a start. Again, you can reach out to Reebok, you can reach out to Nike, you can reach out to Under Armour and Adidas. You know, we can use the technology known as the Net and whatnot. We can include the Be Friends. We can bring in VaynerX, Vayner Consulting, of course, Vayner Media, and all it is securing the money here, putting the money over there, letting them do what they do best, bringing somebody like a Promo to handle some of those things, and getting people with, you know, boots on the ground. We have somebody like a Mauricio Ruiz that you can just say, yo, check this out. Let's combine power. You know, Mauricio Ruiz is somebody that has the production, but has also demonstrated the fear. Because it's a psychological fear of living in the truth. Yes, he's had a great career. Let's talk about Mauricio. Shout out to you, man. Has had a great career, knows everything and everybody, has not been able to clamp down, has not been able to capitalize. And I'm talking about to the extent that you see DJ Khaled what he did with Snapchat. This is that opportunity. But there's fear, there's withdrawal, there's a holding back of, I'm not sure if I can trust you with the connection. I'm not sure if I can trust you with the plug. And I'm like, yo, just for you saying that shit, I don't even want them to keep. Nothing personal. But I'm a God fearing man. I feel that God placed you in my life to get started. You're gonna make more money with this first deal than you made in your whole life, your whole career. You either fucking get it or you don't get it. This is not because his friends are in the technology. And whatever little game they put him up on is because I highlighted the fact that they didn't want to get him to work on. So what is he doing right now? He's been raising capital. I told him that shit 2 years ago. You understand me?
You know,
These are the key points. You have to live in the truth and say, yo, I'm going to bet it all on red. I'm betting it all on red. I've never had an opportunity like this. Let me take advantage of it from the most basic level to the most complex level. Somewhere in the middle is where we lie, and that's where we need to be. It's like a little speedboat just jumping on the water. I don't need to yacht. We don't need a mega yacht right now. We just need a nice speedboat in business. We call those Corvettes. We need to be the Corvettes. We need to be that industry standard. Think about the application. You have SoundCloud, you have iTunes, you have Spotify. Where you think the independent artists are going to want to come? They're going to want to come to my platform because nobody is going to represent them like me. And nobody's going to offer them 85% to 88%. I can. And it will. The app alone, the metadata in the app, the digital marketing that happens on the app, just that alone, and we're building a system that's fair, that really shows you who's the hottest and who's competing and who's, viable in the market and what they're doing, market what is. I can show them the same technology I use to keep track of our catalog. I can facilitate that to other artists. They're gonna come to me. And I can build the super app because even WhatsApp was an extension to one of the designs. we're not going to settle for anything less than greatness. We're not going to let any of these companies intimidate us in the slightest. We're not going to settle for anything less. We're going to seek out the best during our tour. We're going to use the cash flow to continue to connect with all these investors. All these investors will be put through a rigorous evaluation, and only the little golden chariots are going to rise to the top, because anything else we're just not interested in. And either we hit the home run or we fail miserably and they take us out of the stadium. But we're coming for the championship. So this is all the time that we have for today. I feel in my heart that I have conveyed everything that is essential for our success. Again, once again, I want to highlight everything with Mauricio Ruiz. Did you know that if I walk with Mauricio Ruiz into any one of these negotiations, it's an automatic yes? And I guarantee you, respective frenemies, because that's what they are, they're just haters, they will want to come in, and I will immediately say, none of you are allowed to come in. Because for 2 years, I've been telling them, yo, come on down. Had that not happened, I would have not found Promo the God. Now I'm going to take him, and shout out to you, Promo the God, because you're going to receive this. Take him to the next level. I can put a few $1 million in his pocket and give him the value that he deserves, because he already put in the work. Same way I felt about Mauricio, which I'm very emotional about that, but it is what it is. I'm only here to do business. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm not here to waste your time. I'm only here to do business. This is what sets us apart. You guys have an idea, and that's it. We got everything. We have the intellectual property, we have the merchandising, we have the tours, we have all verticals, all horizontals, all endorsements, sponsorships that come with that. The wearable technology designs, the autonomous designs. All we're doing is bringing it down from military to a civilian application, medical level, and then bringing it down to wearable technology. It's all entertainment. We got our own video game system. And, we have 3 games. We have a Sonic game, we have a Transformers game, and we have a Batman game. Are they officially signed up on it? No, but that's not going to stop me from building my system. And I'm having a lot of fun. Now, guess what? If Warner Brothers doesn't approve the Batman video game, I'll build another character. If Nintendo and Sega don't want to sign off on Sonic, I'll rebuild Sonic. I'll make another character. I'll build on top of it. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. Same thing with the Transformers. They have to transform into something. All I need to do is make them transform into something that is a different intellectual property. So all the opportunities are there. We either negotiate with Live Nation based on whatever they agree with, which is Jigga Man, or we keep working with everybody that they don't have, like Peerspace and Gigster. We already have them. We just have to make the approach to go to Live Nation and say, yo, we want to do business, or we're going to hold you hostage. You have to compete. Now, all those investors, we want their network. We want the phone calls and the resources they can bring to the table more than the money. So we'll be able to make those phone calls. And again, having accredited investors with those credentials, meaning full government clearances, we can only close more deals on the military side. Because I'm not really doing this shit that blows stuff up anymore. I'm focused on, surveying systems, autonomous systems, and medical units. They can defend themselves, but that's not the emphasis of the design. So that's it. We have plenty of examples of systems that are in service, including the amphibious version of the ASLE unit, which is again the Autonomous Social Recovery Unit, which is the designer of the serving of God right here. Radar production, my technology, all that shit. Yo, can you imagine the speakers? The workout speakers, everybody workouts, can you imagine the surround sound for home, for business? That's the business. We only benefit from deals that we do. Let's not waste time. Let's vet out every investment firm possible until we find the right things. Because finding the money is key. Finding the right money is the challenge. Peace and blessings be with you. Now, special thanks. I'm going to leave that separate. This is the ending of chapter 3 and the beginning of the special thanks. Now that we've made it to today's business masterclass and formal corporate meeting as your executive CEO, I want to thank every single one of you for being here. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. I am of the belief that God has placed all of you in my life. And I greatly value that opportunity. I will not take it for granted. This dream is big enough to fit everybody else's dream, and that is the most important thing. That everybody knows and understands that everybody here is an essential part to everything that we do. And I cannot do this by myself. I do not want to do this without God, and I definitely don't want to do this without all of you, because all of you build what we're bringing to the table. And we are not settling for anything less than greatness, because I believe in my heart that is what God has always intended for us. You know, they say to ask with faith, to ask with honesty and purity, that if your motives are pure, dreams do come true. What we're doing is not about us anymore. The movie is not about us. It's about every person that we love and care for, every opportunity that this is going to grant all of them. The money is going to be great. We're not worried about that part. That's the last of our concerns. Having the right people will always be our focus and our emphasis. You guys are all welcome to invite as many people to this project to assist you in everything that you do, so that we can work together and continue to have the greatest team. Because I believe we are the best team. I believe that we are the greatest team. And we're all so diversified. We're all into so many different things. And I believe that that's the key to our success. And, you know, we're not friends, we're a family. This is bigger than the business. Our bonds will last way longer than any contractual agreement. Everybody's going to have a senior executive position in everything that we do. Everybody will be utilized as a strategic tool to focus on whatever is their natural gift and ability. And we sometimes fail to give enough thanks and appreciation when we fully understand that we should do it more. So this is as much as it is a dream for all of you. It is also a dream for me, for all of you to remain and always be a part of this. So I thank you guys for that. Godspeed. Enjoy beautiful family. Have a nice day. Conquer everything in your path, make everything that you touch, so you can solid gold bars, silver bars, and beautiful and precious gemstones such as moissanite or laboratory grown diamonds or any laboratory grown gem. Always remember to dream big, because dreams come true. Happen to me, and that's the fact it's going to happen to you also. We'll see you on the next one. Company briefing for June 27th, 2022.
Modern soccer stadium has over 700 miles of fiber optic cable game experience. 85% of the city fans have been purchased due to blue lines. AI facial recognition being developed with assistance and data safe. These solutions secure connectivity for AT&T Business, because the game may end with whistle phones and the memories and T-Mobile.
I see it again. For the morning of one farm, no problem at all. The land is still there, and the view is at least at you next month. On the positive side, and there are no alternatives, right? I think that's the thing talking about broadening out of the trade, rents, industrials, whatever, but the conviction elsewhere in terms of the uncertainty, looking at sensible margins, are not as strong as they are.
And even just something like China, for example, it itself reinforcing the we know that stimulus marketing, if they run on AI, that runs on some it seems like though that it has dispersed the percentage of the work application. Is there any sort of article or I would just say that probably because the wealth effect of the stock market is far less predominant in China. I mean, Korea by one much smaller population. So, like I think Samsung has like 3 million of shareholders. Exactly, right? So the wealth effect is much more evident in driving those car sales, the spending in Korea. Whereas in China, the wealth effect in the stock market might only be taking a very small part of the population, and also, in Korea, the Jews are very well over the past 12 months or even longer. Whereas in China, even as professionals, we need to constantly look at the rotations, changing seas, right? The stuff you bought a year ago, new consumption, right? It's not necessarily making you money today. So retailers, they really make money in this kind of rapid rotation. That's what I'm Yeah, on the point of rotation, where does this leave the rest of AI? Because they don't have AI as main changing. Because we are also seeing geopolitically things happening prices. So is there more of a chance?
Yeah, the thing is, as long as the AI practice cycle that's what's driving the
Que Dios lo bendiga. Ahí le mandé la reunión el día de hoy. Vi en sus redes sociales que usted todavía está en Europa. Déjeme saber lo que está pasando con la actividad con Rochi allá en la fundación en la República Dominicana. Déjenme saber que podemos planificar. Yo creo que voy en camino para allá en la próxima semana. Me deja saber, escríbame cuando usted regrese para yo hacer una reunión con usted. Creo que vamos a hacer un concierto en la zona colonial. Yo me dijo que en la fundación se puede hacer, no sé si sea un poco más difícil, pero de todas formas déjeme saber, porque también hay una potencialidad de que yo pueda ir con usted. Usted me deja saber cuántos eventos más tiene. Si yo puedo viajar allá y regalarle un concierto a uno de sus invitados, usted me deja saber. Yo sé que usted tiene varios eventos. Pero de todas formas lo queremos demasiado, ya la va.